Well, it's been a great season, lots of gorgeous blooms. My little dahlia patch is now done for the year. The opening video was taken just a week ago, and since then we've had our first killing frost. So let's take a moment to think about all the wonderful blooms that we've cut, the gorgeous bouquets that we made. Okay, now let's get excited for next year. So depending on the part of the world you live in, dahlias may or may not need to be lifted each year. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, Zone 8B, and as long as I have them planted in well-draining soil, I am good to leave them in the ground. You still want to follow my next tips on preparing them, and then you're going to want to cover them perhaps with a tarp or something after mulching them, just to make sure they don't get too soggy. So again, the key is well draining, and you can't allow the tubers to freeze or you're going to be without dahlias, and no one wants to be without dahlias. I, on the other hand, this year am choosing to lift them. After growing them this year, my first year actually having a garden, and a dahlia garden. As you can see, it's not very big. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know I made it down to Swan Island dahlias again, and realized that there was a bunch more I don't have, and there was a couple of these beauties I just need more of. So over the course of the next couple months before spring arrives, I am going to be expanding my dahlia garden, and in preparation for that, I am going to actually lift them, and you'll see what I'm doing with those in this video. This video is being taken over a course of a couple weeks, so that you can see what I'm doing to start with, and seeing where I go and how I divide them, just kind of an all-in-one. So to start with though, as I've mentioned in previous videos, or maybe I didn't, but now you'll find out, I quit aggressively deadheading back in early October, latter part of September, so that I could get some seed pods developed, because my goal is to grow some from seed from my own dahlias next spring and each year going forward, in hopes to find that miracle one that just everybody goes gaga over. So what I've done is I've already gone through and I've cut those seed pods off. Now here's a thing, perhaps deadhead the ones that you know aren't going to be able to produce seeds, because you know what? Whether it's a seed pod or a frozen bud that's starting to open, that's a little difficult to tell. So anyhow, these are all damp. I will hang them in the house somewhere where it will be dry, where they can continue to dry out, watch them for mold. Those big dinner plate, fuzzy, furry, gorgeous dahlias have a tendency to mold as they're wilting and drying up. So you can cautiously cut that back, but ooh, be careful. You know, don't get your hopes up. Now I did go through, and some of them I trimmed back quite a bit while they were still in bloom. So hopefully that'll be a great video next spring on how to plant and grow dahlias from seed. So right now what we're going to do is I'm going to go through, and I have already, while they were still in bloom and I knew what they were, made sure that my plant stakes were all at the base of each plant, because I need to know which dahlia is which, so that when I plant them, I know. And when I'm sharing them, I'm not disappointing someone by telling them I'm giving them Grandpa's gift and they end up with Chewy or something. So both amazing, but if you want Grandpa's gift, you gotta have Grandpa's gift. So now we're going to cut these back to about 6 inches, and then I'm going to leave it for about a week before I lift them, and that should give the eyes an opportunity to start opening, to make it easier to divide them. So here, why don't you go ahead and watch me do this a little bit. That just sounds like a fun thing to do. Okay, that got done. Look at these mushrooms. I've had all sorts of different mushrooms growing all season in my dahlia garden. But check out the stalk on this. This is my hero. This is Tipsy. That beast is huge, look. It's like the size of my wrist. Ooh, and Grandpa's gift, absolutely huge. And then a couple small ones. So, all right. Next, it's time to get these suckers lifted. Well, it's been, actually it's been a couple weeks since I cut my dahlias back. We've had some rain, not a lot of nice weather. I'm a fair weather sort of person. I'm actually, you know, like plants, I'm only cold hardy to about zone 9 and I live in 8B. So most days it's a little chilly for me. But, so today we're going to dig these up. So as I mentioned previously, I've marked them. I know where they're at. I've labeled, and I'm gonna do this very slow and methodically, but I'm not gonna make you sit there painfully listening to me drone on about it. So the first thing we're gonna do is dig up B-Man, and we'll go from there. So make sure that you're coming out far enough that you're not hitting any of the tubers, and just work yourself down there. Loosen it around. That's some great soil. Wow, I like this. I like the look of this. Check this out. Those are some nice big tubers. Let's dig up a next one. So this is B-Man. Very pleased there. Started with one tuber, and just like potatoes, they grow. And here I've got about 8. And now the goal will be to find those eyes. But let's dig up the next one. So this is B-Man. Put the stake with it. The next one we're gonna do is Nighty Night. That was another one of my favorites. See what we got going on here. Ooh, Nighty Night. Got a little damage there. That's a nothing. No neck, no eye, just a tuber. All right, I will get these two bad boys washed off, rinsed really well, removed all the dirt, and then we'll get to dividing. Let me find my handy dandy clicker. Check out just the amazing difference in size and number of tubers. And you know, when it comes to tubers, size does not matter. But check out the size of that one. Doesn't that get you going? And even this guy, he never did flower. He had some buds before the frost, but maybe next year we can see Candy Crazy in full bloom. Oh, look at that little baby ones. And Grandpa's gift. Couple there. Okay, let's get these washed up. Wow, finally, the moment we've been waiting for. Don't you sometimes find it just a tad bit agitating when you come across a YouTube video that appears to have the information you need, and And then some random person just keeps dragging it out, dragging it out, dragging it out, dragging it out. Well, you know what? I'm glad you've made it this far. And we are really almost there. But before we do that, just to drag it out, just a scooch. Just a scooch. Don't go away. Don't go away. Stick with me. We're gonna get to it. Dahlia eyes, dividing the tubers, all that good stuff. But I have a viewer out there that I heard about, and I believe she's hit like on a few of my videos, but I don't know that you've actually made a comment. So I just want to give a shout out to Rhonda and Dave in Wisconsin. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting me. I hear through the grapevine that you enjoy watching my videos. So I hope you've made it this far in this video. And if you did, hey, shoot me a comment. I'd love to know that you caught this. So anyhow, let's get to it. So as you can see, we've washed, we've rinsed our Dahlia tubers. And really, if you're just looking to overwinter them quick and easy, it's cold out, you don't have the time. And now we have a dog barking, so I'm going to pause for just a moment. All right, so I think we're good now. Anyhow, at this point, you can just let these dry for 3 days to a week, and then store them in a medium such as peat moss or vermiculite. Vermiculite would be the more environmentally sound option. I'll be using peat moss because I have a bunch I'm trying to use up because I didn't realize that it wasn't the environmentally sound option. So going forward, I'll be using vermiculite. Anyhow, I would cut the stalk. I would cut the stalk down to about here on this bad boy. Let that dry for anywhere from a couple days to a week, and then I would store it in peat moss or vermiculite. Check on it periodically throughout the winter. Make sure that the tubers don't get too dry out, and then in the spring I would divide it as the temperatures start to warm and it's a little bit easier to see the eyes. However, just due to space, I am choosing to divide my dahlias this fall, and then I will store them in these handy dandy little bins that I picked up at the dollar store in peat moss or vermiculite, and then it'll be easier to check on them throughout the winter. So now the biggest question that I had when I first started growing dahlias, and I've only been growing them for a couple of years, is figuring out where that eye is. So let's take this one for example. Let's take this one for example. So, can you see me? Here we have these little raised areas. This one's a little whitish in color as it's coming up. We have our tuber, then we have our neck, and in this case it's a very short neck, and then we have a crown, and just above that crown is where you're going to find the eye. So as you're dividing, you're going to want to get a piece of that. Now is also a good time to be checking for rot. If you have anything that has a broken neck, well, broken neck, it's goner. That is not viable. So let's take another look. Try not to get these all mixed up. Here we go, they're a little bit better. Hoping you can see that here. So here we have an eye. So as we cut that out, we're going to make sure to get that eye. Here's another eye right here. These are good necks. And here we have some rot, or possibly I nicked it with my spade when I was digging it out, but that I'm just going to discard. So let's start dividing. So before you begin dividing, make sure you got yourself a good sharp knife. if you've used your, if you have a dividing knife, amazing, wonderful. However, got a video, posted a video earlier this year on how to sharpen that. Make sure to sharpen it periodically. It does come dull when you purchase it. Or, you know, for $7, $8, just go to one of the big box stores and buy yourself a sharp linoleum knife. They come already sharpened. So, wow. Ooh. You know, don't start with the big one. I'm just going to set this aside because that's not the one I want to start with. I want to work into it. I want to start with an easy one. So we're just going to set that one on the ground over here. Ah, here we go. We'll find a nice little one. So this one has just really kind of an overreacher. This has, well, has one coming up here. So I am going to, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it back a little bit. Make it a little bit more manageable. And we got a broken neck there. This one has an eye right here. So body, neck, crown with an eye. So we'll just cut that. Set that aside. That can be crazy. Well, let's see here. And again, you know, as you're going through here, if you've got a soft, gushy one, something that's a little rotted, cut that out. Cut that down a little bit more. All right, ooh, there's a nice eye right there. We will attach that one to this. So figure out where it's gonna come up from. And then here, we have an eye there. And that's where this little linoleum knife or Dahlia dividing knife comes in handy. It's got that nice little hook so you can reach right in there. There we are. And that one has an eye there. There we are. So we got 3 out of that one. Now, I mentioned about drying them. So now this I have an area set up in the garage because I don't know what the temperature is going to be out here, and I want to be able to control, you know, where they're at. I need to know what they are. So I'm going to let them dry for 2 to 3 days, and then I'm going to pack them away by variety into my my little handy dandy Rubbermaid totes. Mixed with some, in my case, peat moss, but please, if you're going out to purchase something, purchase vermiculite. Use that, a medium one. You can also, if you're not making a bunch of them, and depending on your space, you could just put these in a Ziploc bag, seal it, you know, with perlite or peat moss, and then seal it. And then again, don't forget, check on them periodically, just to make sure they're not getting too dried out. You want them, you know, nice and firm. So, all right, well, sorry, Rhonda, there's no quiz, but again, please comment. I want to know that you actually watched this. It's kind of a test. I was told you watched these, so hope to hear from you. Anyhow, I hope you found this informative. Come back next spring, and when I have my new Dahlia garden all set up, my new Dahlia tubers I'm adding to my garden have arrived, and we'll talk about getting them planted, how to make sure the stakes are all set up and all that kind of good stuff. So please don't forget, hit that like, hit the subscribe. I'm only a few viewers away from, or subscriptions away from 500, and I'd love to hit that 500 mark before Christmas. So if you enjoy this, share with your friends, encourage others to watch. Until next time, happy gardening.